Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the August 6th, 3/30/2020 special finance meeting to order. And we want to get started with resolution number 234/2020, which is authorization to approve the proposed 2020 to 21 operating budget of Columbia Green Community College. Before we get started, I'd like to say that I think they've done a nice job. They worked with us. We all are trying to make the finances work with the cuts that we have, and they're getting pretty heavy duty cuts from the state just as much as we are. And we did ask them to cut their budget a little bit more, and they did. They used some more of their fund balance, which did help us out, helped us keep our numbers a little bit better in position. So the college is proposing an operating budget at this point in the amount of $17,065,163, of which Columbia County's portion is $3,474,911. And they put in $300,000. They took out of their operating budget, which I believe, Matt, if I'm right, it leaves them around 11, correct? 1.1 million. They put in 300,000. I think that's about where their fund balance is now, if I'm correct. Or Diane, are you on?
Yep. So we've started this current fiscal year with about 3 million. I'm hoping hoping with some savings from this year to add a little bit to that, perhaps the end of this fiscal year.
Okay. And Diane, with the added increase in fund balance that you put into the budget, where does that leave you now?
So we started with 3 million. We're gonna, I think in this budget, 1.2, so we'll be at about 1.8.
Okay.
As a worst case scenario.
Right.
I think that's the worst case scenario.
Right. And if we go back and we look at Bonadeo's numbers, which they gave us a while back, that was really scary. So I think this budget is totally, it's been a lifesaver in a way. But I didn't know if you wanted to just touch base on a couple of the different highlights of it quickly for everybody. And
sure. You want me to kind of highlight what I did last time?
Yes. Yeah, not you don't have to go through everything, just touch base on a few of the highlights of it.
Yep, I can do that. If you turn, the best page to go to that for Kelly is page 3 on the revenue projections. I can just talk a little bit about how we developed these numbers. So that 2021 proposed budget column is based on approximately 908 full-time equivalents. Represents a tuition increase of just below 3%, which is 2.985%, which is an increase of $144 per year per full-time student. In addition, we increased our technology fee in the current year. You can see when we get to the next page, we have a list of our fees. I went from 108 per semester to 180 per semester. That is more in line with our peer institutions, so that's part of the reason why we increased that. But we also made a change to our individual transcript fees, and we're absorbing that revenue as part of that increase in the technology fee. You can see on the state appropriation line, if we were receiving state aid at 100%, that's the first line, it would be 2.9 million. They ask us to anticipate anywhere from a 20 to a 50% reduction in state aid. So this budget reflects a 25% reduction. That's $697,849. Then the sponsor contribution. So this is different from the presentation that we presented last time. It did reduce that contribution by $300,000. When we get to, actually, if you go back a page, you can see the breakdown between the counties. That would be a $19,934 increase for Columbia County, and then a $319,934 decrease for Greene County. And that is an allocation that's based on head count. It's based on the fall 19 head count for both Columbia and Greene County. Chart.
Okay.
Any questions on that? If you want to go back to page 3, Kelly, I'll just walk through the rest of those. revenue sources. Charges to other counties represents the amount that we charge to students that come from outside Columbia and Greene County. That's based on approximately 200 FTE. The current year rate is $9,544. The rate in the 2021 budget is $10,082. The federal, federal grants and contracts. That's our federal work study allocation that supports our federal work study students if they get an opportunity, hopefully later in the year, to work on campus. Private gift grants and contracts of $41,000 is just from support from our component unit to support some salaried positions on the college payroll. And then the other revenue is some real property rentals. We have the New York State Department of Labor and also the Workforce Investment Office and our Professional Academic Center. And then we also receive a sizable workers' compensation dividend, provided our experience rating is good, which it has been. So I fully expect we'll see that. And then appropriated fund balance, which is much higher than it is in the past. And that really is now a direct result of the 25% reduction in state aid and to balance the decline in the sponsor share between the last proposal and this proposal.
But hopefully, if we can get the student enrollment up, you won't be
Absolutely.
using much fund balance.
That's right. And I will also look to cut some additional expenses on the expense side as we start this fiscal year. We'll we'll react and make changes as necessary. I'm definitely interested in harboring fund balance. It's been a mission of mine since I took this position. So I'll continue to look for places to save as we move forward and hope not to use that appropriated fund balance that's on that document. Yep, for sure.
Very good. Does anyone have any other questions at all?
Yeah. I have a question, Supervisor Sterling. Back to, I know we pay different than Greene County, but when we're saving this 300,000 cut and it all goes to Greene County and we're paying 19,000 more, is that right?
No.
Yeah, it is. It's not
Diane,
quite.
you want to? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was looking to see, and I don't have. Don't think I grabbed. I do. I can tell you what the percent breakdown is. So the allocation is based on head count. So we take the head count for Greene County, students that reside in Greene County, and the head count for the students that reside in Columbia County, and that determines the percentage share of the allocation. So in the original proposal, even if you had a flat sponsor share, the allocation would change between the counties. So in the original proposal, the Columbia County increase was $181,600, and the reduction to Greene County was $181,600. And it's really just the way the formula works. Sometimes that it can flip-flop from year to year based on the population by county.
Sarah, I think also that there's been discussion that between us and Greene County a little bit. Matt's been talking to Sean, and one of the things that they're talking about is just splitting it evenly rather than do this breakup, where depends on how many students are in each county, and then that county pays more. So, but we want to research that to make sure that's something good for us to get into. So that's another way of that breakdown may be more stabilized for us rather than
Okay,
go
thanks.
up and go down.
Originally, we would have owed 180, and now we only owe 19. Is basically
Right.
what you're saying.
That's correct.
Okay.
Right. The
Great.
normal
Thanks.
number was 181,600 actually. Yeah. Okay. Where's that pie chart, Kelly? Can you put that up with?
It's back at the beginning, Kelly,
Yeah.
like the second page, I think, of the document. Yeah, so that pie chart represents the percentage of our revenue sources. So the sponsor support between both Columbia and Greene County is 37.79% of our operating budget. Our student support, which is tuition and fees, is 28.46%. State support, this 13.19% includes the 25% reduction. Without that, it would be a little bit higher, be about 17% without the 25% reduction. And then miscellaneous support is everything else. That would be the chargebacks, the grants and contracts, the other revenue sources, and then the appropriated fund balance would be in the miscellaneous support.
So you can see with that state support getting knocked out of there, that definitely does hurt things.
Yeah. And even if it was at 100%, it would still only be 17% of our budget.
Right.
It's supposed to be a third. It's supposed to be a third, a third, and a third.
Right. Right. So one of the things is that we did ask all our departments and our outside to cut 0.4 we cut and furloughing people. So one of the things we did want college to do was also help us out and kind of stay in line. So that's this $300,000 use of fund balance to offset the budget. Is there any other questions? Diane, thank you. We appreciate your help with all this and the president also.
Yeah, sorry, Carly was going to join us. She got hung up. I apologize for that. Oh, she's here. Yay.
I got
Hello.
on a SUNY meeting. I apologize for being late, but I was only a couple minutes late, so I heard everything. So thank you.
Oh, great.
No problem. So if there isn't any questions, can I have a motion to
I'll
approve?
move it. Yuri.
I
I'll
have a
second it
second.
on that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Good luck on this oncoming year, and hope all these programs work out for you.
Thank you so much.
Terrific.
We really
Thank you.
support, of course. So happy weekend, everybody.
Yes, thank you. We're supposed to be a
Thank
nice
you.
one at least.
That's
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
bye now. We're going to move on to Resolution 235, 2020, authorization for the County of Columbia to make home rule requests for special legislation to offer a 20-year retirement plan to an eligible employee. Theodore Blank was hired in 2011 as communications officer enrolled in New York State Retirement in the A15 retirement plan as Tier 5 employee. And on March 12, 2014, Mr. Blank changed his position of employment with the county and became a deputy sheriff, and he completed an RS 5498A form, which would change his retirement plan to Section 553 plan for deputy sheriffs. The executed form was sent to New York State Retirement by the county, and whereas it was subsequently discovered that Mr. Blank's retired enrollment was never changed to the 553 plan by New York State Retirement System, reporting that it never received that other form, that RS form. So we're asking the County of Columbia desire to correct the retirement plan for Mr. Blank and restore Mr. Blank's retirement time, and the county has been advised that it has to been done through home rule request to New York State Assembly and Senate for special legislation. Is there any questions on this?
Michael Reardon's on the call or on the conference to answer any questions.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
This is to get this individual into the sheriff's retirement system? Or
Yes, sir.
The system? Okay.
Yes.
Right. He's been working there all this time anyway.
Yes, both the sheriff's office and the payroll office both have copies of the retirement form that was sent up to New York State Retirement. The issue is that New York State Retirement is stating that they did not receive the form.
Okay.
So we've been contributing to which retirement system for him?
I don't think, I mean, we make a contribution where they're posting it, we would have to verify with them.
No, I'm just wondering if which system was the county making contributions to while they work with the department?
Yeah, I'd have to confirm that with payroll. I don't have that information right
I
in
don't
front
think
of me.
it's really that important.
No, but it's a good question. It's a good question, and we certainly would want to ensure that the allocations are where they need to go.
Right.
Well, it's good that this was discovered, and I can move this. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion.
No, if I could ask a quick question.
Sure.
In 2011, he was hired as a communication officer. What is the retirement benefit in communications? Is it 20 or 25 years?
Communications is under the sheriffs, so that would be for a 20.
It would be,
Actually, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Michael,
What's that?
might be 25.
Yeah, because the only non for like in traditional would be an exemption for probation under the 30. It would depend. I'd have to look to see whether or not they would allow for commo to be classified under traditional or the actual corrections.
Right. Although they are sworn officers, right, or no?
Yeah, for commos?
Yeah,
That I don't know offhand.
that would.
so what I think there was a good question. I think it was Supervisor Berry's mention. Is this gonna cost us money to actually put him into the 553 plan? Because I'm sure the 25-year plan was less expensive than the 553 plan of 20 years.
Right.
I'll tell you in a second.
Ron, we can't hear you.
He said he'll look and tell us in just a
He's
second.
checking it out.
The problem is he was left off the plan by no fault of his own.
Right.
It was a paperwork error, either on the state level or our level, which we can't prove, and this is the only way we can correct it.
Yeah, this was back when there were two individuals in the payroll department who are no longer working for the county. They're both retired. This happened back when they were here.
So
And
just to
in fact,
follow up.
I'm sorry?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, and even New York State Retirement had acknowledged that, we sent them copies of the forms back in 2014, but they've never made the adjustments, saying that, they didn't receive them initially.
So this could cost us more money, but it was our fault or their fault, somebody's fault.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
553 plan, I imagine he'd be tier 4, is 26.1%. Rather high.
Well, they would bring him in as, he was in the A15 as tier 5, Ron.
Tier 5.
Yep, New York State Retirement A15 is tier 5.
It was 13.3%. That's what it is now. A15 tier 5 is 13.3% contribution rate currently. And then the 553 tier 5 or 4.
I would assume they would carry over the 5. Why would they put him into 4?
Could I ask that we get this all straightened out before we vote on this resolution? Is it necessary for us to do this tonight?
Matt, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know that the legislature is waiting for this resolution from us.
Yeah.
So that they can enact it.
I understand.
Ron,
Okay.
is that would stay on as tier 5? What would the 553 be at tier 5?
24%.
24%. Wow. Okay. Little lower, but yeah.
But we should have paid that all along, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah,
What was that, Ron?
We should have been paying that all along.
If that's the way it should go, then yeah.
I mean,
Do we know what we've been paying to?
Yeah, that's
Well, that's a good question.
It had to be the way it sounds. It was to the old plan, correct?
We're paying the old plan, right?
Ron, do you know where we are with that, or you don't?
Well, you'd have to go back to each year. Each year the rates change. They've been going down considerably, but if you're going back a few years, you'd have to go back in time and see what the rate would be.
And if we've been paying the wrong plan since 2014, are we able to get that money transferred over to the proper plan?
Well, if we were paying A15 tier 5, there's approximately 11% difference between the two plans for tier 5 right now. So that would be the difference going back 11% basically on what we'd have to pay in.
So we're just paying a difference. We're not going to lose
Right,
put in so far.
right, right,
That's the way I thought it was. That we were just
Right.
going to be paying the difference,
right.
which is 11%.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
No, what I'm getting at, and you know, he initially was put in a tier 5 communications officer plan, which was New York State retirement. I'm sure it was a 25-year plan. Now he's going to be, after 3 years of employment in that position, he jumped into a deputy sheriff, if you will, under the 553. The question I have is, are they going to, they going to take those 3 years there as a communications officer in that retirement plan, count it as part of the 553? So if he only does 20 years, you know what I'm saying? If he only does 20 years,
legitimately in another plan, yeah.
Yeah.
right?
That's a good point.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Is there any way we can find this out?
Well, we can certainly call retirement and find out what they're planning on doing.
Yeah.
If I could recommend, why don't we table this and we can call a special finance the day of the full board meeting
Right.
to deal with it. Again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that this was not the employee's fault. It was either the state's or ours, and we're trying to rectify it so he's in the proper retirement
Right.
system.
In all due
I
respect,
think,
But I think
in
we
all due
can
respect, he was 6
answer
years.
the questions.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the extent of our mistake is and how, what our options are for fixing it. It has nothing to do with this individual
right.
at all. So thank you for, if you will put it off until the night of the board meeting.
So,
And we can find out how far back we got to pay and where we're at on this.
Right.
Well,
And I mean, and the years that are involved in this were not years, unfortunately, that this department was actually overseen by either myself or the controller's office. So that's why, I appreciate your questions and thank you. And I'm sorry for not being able to, I would need to research in order to get you the correct information.
Okay.
We'll
So,
find out.
thank you.
Yeah, Ron and I'll work together and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I think the most relevant question is, with the first 3 years as a communications officer in a different retirement plan, count towards his 20-year
This other one.
retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just pull the payroll from him and to find out exactly which fund and to where it was going to on the actual retirement reports.
Yeah. I think what Rick's trying to say, we don't want to pay the 11% back when he was not supposed to be getting it either.
Yeah. Oh no, I respect that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'll
Make
make
a motion, we table it.
second.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution number 235, 2020, authorization, could you just lower it down? Thank you.
There's a delay, Jim.
Okay. Resolution number 236, 2020. Resolution urging New York State Department of State to join with our communities in a collaborative effort to review local government and regional public access needs and implementation for local waterfront revitalization programs. And Rob, you've been working on this, so I'm going to ask you to maybe you can just give us a summary of what this is about.
Sure. This is a plan that Amtrak has been pursuing for a little more than 2.5 years now along our waterfront communities from Rensselaer down to Poughkeepsie. And in Columbia County, the 3 areas that are affected, 4 areas that are affected are Stuyvesant, Stockport, Hudson, and Germantown. And I recently found out that Reedport's in there as well. So we've done an awful lot of work on this with rallies and petitions and public meetings and letter writing campaigns. And Matt and Ron and Jimmy and Ray Stats from Claremont and myself have signed a couple of letters urging our Department of State officials and Department of Transportation officials to slow the process down because Amtrak has not sat down with the individual communities to work out what's best for them. So the original plan was for 8-foot tall wrought iron fencing and gates to be placed in a number of communities. At first they had their application in with the Department of State, and we found out about it only because our neighbors to the south were notified because they have an LWRP. And so Tivoli reached out to us and said, hey guys, do you know what's going on in Germantown? And that's where this whole thing started. So what I'm asking the Board of Supervisors to do is to adopt a resolution that summarizes all the efforts that were made and urges the waterfront communities in the county to join together and continue to write letters to the Department of State and the Department of Transportation and to our federal representatives as well, asking Amtrak or insisting that Amtrak sit down with the local officials and work out plans that are what's best for their community to balance access as well as safety. And we have a letter that's ready to go at the end of this month, and Matt and Ron, Jimmy and Ray, and now Mike Comedies and Sarah Sterling are willing to sign it with me.
Rick Scalera.
And Rick Scalera, thank you. And so that's really in a nutshell what it's all about. We've been pushing this really hard with Amtrak, and they've been very, very elusive. They met with us, and we offer different kind of scenarios for them. They tell us what a wonderful idea it is. We'll get back to you, and then we never hear from them again until the next phase where they want to start letting us know what they're going to do. So to wrap this up, there was a call made a couple of weeks ago. We were notified on Monday that the call was going to be on Thursday, and we called in only to find out that we were not going to be part of a conversation. We were going to be told, and we're told, what the plan is for our communities. Not the proposal for our communities, but what the plan is for our communities. And while Amtrak did give in a little bit, now the 8-foot tall fence is down to 6 foot in some places and 4 foot in others. The gates are there. Plus, they've widened the length of the fencing throughout the entire region. So for example, in one spot in Germantown, they were going to put up 700 feet of fencing. Now it's almost 1,600 feet of fencing, but they reduced it from 8 foot tall to 4 foot. We can find a way to balance their needs with our needs. And that's why I'm asking for the resolution so that we can continue to, keep up a little bit of pressure from elected officials on Amtrak and the Department of State and the Department of Transportation.
Well, good job. We appreciate your work on this. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your support.
So, does anyone have any other questions? We'll have a motion for
I'd like to
resolution.
make a motion to approve that.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Very good.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'll rework that letter after I got the edits from Ron, and I'll send it up to you, Matt, okay, with the extra supervisors' names on it, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Very good. So we're going to go to resolution number 230. Sorry. Resolution number 237, 2020. Authorize the treasurer to transfer the funds available in the New York Class Tax Stabilization Account to the Bank of Greene County VIP Investment Account. And PJ, what do you really do? I know what it's for, but I just maybe
basically we need board approval to move any of these funds in this tax stabilization account. It's a pretty simple concept. In these days of high interest rates, we've been using New York Class for both this and the workers' compensation reserve account. My plan is to move both of those accounts. Right now, the Bank of Greene County, I've worked out a deal with them that they will give us the higher interest rate that they do on our VIP account that's there now for anything of $5 million and over. So between the tax stabilization account and the workers' comp account, reserve account, will be over $5 million. And the interest rate at the current time today is 0.5%, and New York Class is at 0.12%. So the difference on an annual basis would be about $21,000 interest. Again, if everything stays equal per year, but that's where we're at right now.
And we're not going to tie it up in any way, because I know there's been discussion that we may need to use this money. So
it can be withdrawn on a daily basis, but tax stabilization would require full board approval to withdraw it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone have any other questions? Motion
I'll
for
move it.
resolution.
I'll
We
move
have a
it.
second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Okay. Do we have another one, or that was it?
That's it. There was 4.
Or, okay. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to bring before the Finance Committee? Matt, thanks for the help with the college and and Rob also. You guys did good on that. So
Everybody, thank you.
we need a motion to adjourn.
Sterling.
I'll make it.
Okay. Don't everyone
Second.
want to go home?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we get a second?
Second.
Yes, we did.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a
Thank
See you
you all.
next week. Take care.
Bye,
Yep.
everyone.